The void W, as silent. Not peaceful, dead. Black space stretched endlessly around the shattered remains of Eidolon Station, the last human command hub in the Virex sector. Twisted steel drifted like bones in orbit, glowing faintly from the fires still burning within. Among the wreckage, a single signal pulsed, weak, defiant, and unmistakably human. Captain Aric Voss leaned over the comm panel, his face streaked with blood and smoke. His right eye flickered blue with cybernetic static. His left, still human, burned with fury. "This is Captain Voss," he said hoarsely into the comm. "If anyone's listening, we're not done yet." The line crackled with static. Only silence answered. Voss exhaled slowly, staring out the viewport. Below him, Eidolon's surface burned. Continents turned to ash under orbital bombardment. The Drax Dominion fleet hung in the distance, their ships cold and geometric, lit by blood-red thrusters. No sound, no emotion, just the quiet perfection of extermination. A voice broke through the radio, calm and inhuman. "Captain Aric Voss of the Terran Vanguard, you are surrounded. Your species' resistance has ended. Your surrender will be documented with dignity." Voss chuckled dryly, his voice cracking. "You want dignity? You should have asked before you glassed 7 billion people." The alien commander paused, his tone still measured. "Your aggression was calculated and futile. Humanity's defiance is inefficient." Voss reached for a dented flask sitting beside the console. He twisted it open, took a slow sip, and smiled. "Yeah," he said softly, "we get that a lot." Smoke drifted across the control deck. Half the crew was gone. The others, young, exhausted, and barely alive, waited for orders that would never save them. Lieutenant Sarah Holt, her face lit by the dying glow of the main screen, turned toward Voss. "Sir," she said quietly, "we can't win this fight. We barely have a reactor left." Voss looked at her for a long moment, then at the bottle in his hand. "You ever hear the phrase, 'hold my beer, Lieutenant'?" Holt frowned. "Sir." Voss grinned, teeth flashing under the red emergency light. "Means I'm about to do something stupid." He set the flask down, wiped the blood from his chin, and keyed in a manual override. The holographic display bloomed to life, a red sphere representing Eidolon's core. Below it, a buried system flashed dormant, Operation Phoenix. Holt's eyes widened. "Sir, that's—" "Yeah," Voss interrupted. "The fail-safe. Planetary ignition protocol. They built it to stop the Dominion's first invasion. Guess no one thought we'd ever need it again." "That's suicide," Holt whispered. Voss shrugged. "Yeah, but it'll look cool." The remaining officers exchanged nervous looks. There was fear in the air, but something else, too. The strange, steady calm that always crept in when humans stopped caring about odds. "Open the channel," Voss said. Across the stars, inside the command ship of the Drax Dominion, Commander Vicor stood motionless before a holographic projection of the human captain. His obsidian armor gleamed like polished glass. His expression was unreadable. "Do you accept surrender, human?" Voss stared at him through blood and smoke. "Surrender?" he repeated. Then he smirked. "Nah, I was just calling to tell you something." Vicor tilted his head. "Speak." Voss raised his flask, as if toasting the void. "Hold my beer." He killed the channel. For a moment, the Dominion fleet hesitated. No new transmission came. No retreat. No plea for mercy. Only the silent hum of alien reactors waiting for instruction. Then Eidolon began to glow. At first, it was subtle, a faint light beneath the cracks of the planet's surface. But within seconds, the crust shimmered like molten glass. Energy readings spiked across the board. Vicor's second officer stepped forward, alarmed. Commander, the human planet. Its core is destabilizing. VA Core's 4 eyes narrowed. They wouldn't. The planet pulsed again, brighter. They would, he whispered. Back aboard the station, Holt watched as cracks of light tore through the atmosphere below. The defense grid, long dead, suddenly roared to life, firing beams of plasma into the sky. Power surges burned through the station's conduits. The floor trembled. "Sir, the reactor's overloading," she shouted. "Good," Voss said. "Let's make it count." He locked the core's fail-safe sequence and stared out the viewport, watching the glow spread like wildfire. Below, the planet's energy converged into a single pulse of blinding light. For the first time in Dominion history, alien warships began to retreat. VA Core's voice broke through the static once more. "Human, what have you done?" Voss smirked. "You said we were inefficient. Guess we decided to take a shortcut." He watched the blue-white glow rise through the clouds, swallowing the horizon. It wasn't just destruction, it was rebirth. The ancient AI buried beneath Eidolon was awakening. Humanity's last secret weapon, forged in desperation, reborn in defiance. And Aric Voss, bleeding, broken, but unyielding, smiled as the sky turned to fire. In the distance, the last human signal flared to life, echoing across the stars. "This is Captain Aric Voss of the Terran Vanguard. Humanity isn't finished." Then the transmission cut out. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't the silence of defeat. It was a silence before a storm. The planet Eidolon was no longer dark. Its crust pulsed with rivers of molten light, glowing from the inside out. Across the void, the massive Drax fleet drifted uneasily, their sensors flooded with readings no one could explain. On the Dominion flagship, Commander Viacor stood before the observation window, staring at the burning world below. His voice trembled, low and uncertain. "This energy, it's not decay, it's awakening." Behind him, his second officer hissed, "Commander, their surface reactors are overloading. That world will collapse in." VA Core turned sharply. "No, watch closer. The humans aren't dying. They're building something." Down below, in the inferno of Eidolon's core, Captain Aric Voss opened his eyes. He shouldn't have been alive. Every alarm screamed overload, radiation warnings, reactor breach, hull fracture. But somehow the fire didn't consume him. It surrounded him, listened to him. The Phoenix core, the ancient Terran AI buried beneath the planet, had awakened, and it was speaking in his mind. "Human, designation Aric Voss. Your kind once sealed me, fearing the cost of survival. Guess we changed our minds," Voss muttered, gripping the console. The voice was vast, powerful, but strangely calm. "Your species faces extinction. Shall I preserve what remains?" Voss smirked through the pain. "Preserve? Nah, we don't do museums. We fight back." Above, alien ships turned their weapons toward the glowing planet. Thousands of cannons charged at once, their crimson light reflecting off the void. Viacor gave the order, "Fire. Erase the infection." The first volley hit. Energy waves shattered the crust, throwing molten debris into orbit. The explosions lit up the darkness. But when the light faded, Eidolon was still there, unbroken. The planet's crust rippled, and then, for the first time in recorded galactic history, a world roared. A beam of pure white fire erupted from the surface, cutting through space like a spear. The blast tore through 3 Drax cruisers instantly, their hulls vaporized before their crew even had time to scream. Viacor stumbled back. What is that?" His aide's voice cracked. "Commander, it's the planet." Beneath the surface, Voss stood within a sphere of blue fire. The Phoenix core circuits glowed all around him, vast as a cathedral. Every pulse of its energy was a heartbeat, syncing with his own. You seek vengeance. No, Voss said, his voice rough but steady. I seek balance. You burn our worlds, we light up yours. The core responded, its voice deepening to a chorus of human and machine. Command accepted. Phoenix protocol active. Outside, cracks open across the planet's equator. From each fissure, towers of glowing alloy rose, weapons older than the Dominion itself, forged by humanity's ancestors when the stars were still young. Eidolon had become a weaponized world. On board the Terran vessel Sparrowhawk, Lieutenant Sarah Holt clutched her headset, her voice shaking. We're picking up something. Sir, the planet's transmitting. Through the static came Voss's voice, low but steady. All ships, this is Captain Voss. Don't run. Don't hide. The old girl's waking up and she's angry. The remaining Terran ships, battered, broken, hopeless, turned toward the planet. The few surviving pilots could hardly believe what they saw. The world below them pulsed like a living heart, its energy surging into orbiting defense satellites once thought long dead. 1,000 cannons turned upward, locking onto the Dominion fleet. The Drax panicked. Their formations collapsed. Commanders screamed through their neural links. Evade! Evade! It's targeting us. But there was nowhere to run. From orbit, it looked like a sunrise. A wave of blinding blue-white light erupted outward. Precise, controlled, deliberate. Dominion cruisers vanished in silence. Their silhouettes burned into space like shadows on glass. In the midst of that chaos, VA Corps' ship was struck. The bridge exploded, glass and fire sweeping to the command deck. VA Corps fell, crawling to the comm. Human, he hissed through static. You would destroy everything. Even yourselves. Voss's voice echoed in return, half human, half machine, filled with the fire of 10,000 dead soldiers. You don't get it, do you? We've already lost everything. That's why we're dangerous. Inside the core chamber, the flames grew brighter. Voss felt his body fading, but his will burned hotter than the sun. He closed his eyes and whispered, For Earth, for all of us. The Phoenix core responded, its final words ringing in his mind. Then rise, Aric Voss. Rise, as we once did. Light consumed him. Above, the planet erupted one last time. A final, colossal burst that split the clouds and tore across the stars. When it faded, Eidolon was gone. In its place hung a single, glowing sphere of pure energy, a reborn world. And from within it, hundreds of signals flared to life, Terran frequencies once extinct. Humanity's fleet was returning. On the surviving Dominion vessels, terrified aliens listened to the last message that played across every comm channel in the sector. This is Captain Aric Voss of the Terran Vanguard. You thought we were finished. Nah, we just needed someone to hold our beer. The galaxy went quiet. Not silent, stunned. Where once a planet burned, now hovered a sphere of light, glowing like a newborn star. The scanners of 100 alien ships flickered with error messages. Gravity signatures twisted. Energy readings climbed beyond measurable limits. And then the light breathed. Waves of blue and gold rippled outward, washing over wrecked Dominion ships. Hulls that had been torn apart by war began to fuse back together. Systems restarted. And deep inside the radiance, where Eidolon once stood, something human stirred. Captain Aric Voss was alive. He woke to weightlessness, drifting in a sea of soft light. His armor was gone. His skin shimmered with faint luminescent veins. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming, until he realized the light was listening. Where am I? He whispered. The answer came not in sound, but in feeling, warmth, purpose, and memory all at once. You are inside the Phoenix Matrix, Captain Aric Voss. Humanity's final defense and first rebirth. The voice was calm, layered, ancient. The Phoenix core had survived, but changed. You linked with us, it said. Now you are the bridge. You carry humanity's pattern, mind, spirit, instinct. We have fused a spark that no extinction can erase. Voss floated there, trying to comprehend it. Around him, the light rippled, forming shapes. Human silhouettes made of fire and energy. Soldiers, civilians, millions of lost lives. The fallen of Eidolon, reborn as data and flame. They looked at him with something between reverence and sorrow. You kept the promise, they whispered together. In the far distance, the remnants of the Drax Dominion watched in awe and terror. The Dominion was ancient, but it had never seen resurrection. Their empire had conquered thousands of species, erased civilizations, and reduced planets to dust. But never had the dead stood up again. On the command ship Obsidian Wrath, the new Drax warlord, VA Corps' heir Kareth, stared at the glowing sphere. What is this? His second officer trembled. The humans call it rebirth. They turned their planet into a weapon and themselves into energy. Kareth bared his fangs. No, not a weapon. He leaned closer to the holographic display. That is a message. The hologram flickered, and a human face appeared. It was Voss. His image, transparent and radiant, hovered in the void, eyes glowing like stars. To any who can hear this, his voice echoed across the system. This isn't vengeance. It's evolution. He looked directly into the lens, directly into them. You try to erase us. But humanity isn't a species. It's a pattern, one that refuses to die. The Drax ships shifted uneasily, their formations breaking. Even hardened commanders felt a strange, primal chill, something their ancestors had long forgotten: fear. Inside the Phoenix Matrix, Voss stood, or rather, existed, on a field of shimmering light. The holographic faces of his old crew surrounded him. Lieutenant Sarah Holt was among them, eyes filled with fire. "Captain," she said, her voice echoing softly. "You did it." Voss smiled. "No, we did." The Phoenix AI pulsed brighter. "Captain Voss, humanity's biological form is gone, but your consciousness endures. Do you wish to continue the mission?" Voss raised his head. "Yeah," he said quietly. "But it's not just about surviving anymore." He looked out into the glowing horizon, where fragments of the old Terran fleet began to shimmer and reform, forged from light and metal alike. "We're not just coming back," he said. "We're coming forward." The Phoenix Matrix responded with a sound like thunder made of fire. From the sphere's surface, massive new vessels began to rise, sleek, elegant, and alive. They pulsed with energy like hearts, each one forged from human will and machine memory. The reborn fleet stretched into orbit, their hulls gleaming with starlight. Every ship carried the same emblem, a burning bird with wings of iron. Across the sector, thousands of alien eyes watched the birth of the Phoenix Armada. Kareth snarled, "Prepare the fleet. If they wish to rise from ashes, we'll turn them to dust again." But when his fleet approached, something strange happened. Their targeting systems failed. Their engines flickered. The Phoenix ships didn't fire back. They simply existed, emitting waves of energy that disrupted every Dominion system. The humans weren't attacking. They were evolving the battlefield itself. "Impossible," Kareth hissed. "Their power is rewriting reality." On his display, one phrase appeared in Terran Standard. "You can't win a fight when the rules no longer belong to you." Back in the Phoenix Matrix, Voss clenched his glowing fists. The AI's voice whispered in his mind again. They cannot comprehend what you become. Shall we end them? Voss paused. The old soldier in him wanted revenge. But something deeper, something human, stirred instead. No, he said. Not yet. He looked toward the distant Dominion ships, their weapons trembling in space. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when you try to kill hope. The light pulsed again, this time, gentle. The Phoenix fleet powered down its weapons and simply drifted, hovering above the remnants of the old world. The message was clear. We're still here. And for the first time in galactic history, an empire built on fear hesitated to strike. Kareth slammed his claws on the console. What are they waiting for? Voss's holographic face appeared once more. His smirk returned, that same calm, reckless grin that started it all. We're just catching our breath. The Dominion fleet recoiled as the Phoenix sphere began to glow again, brighter than before. The light expanded outward, reshaping reality itself. The last thing Kareth saw before his systems failed completely was a single human phrase flashing across his screens. Hold my beer. The light didn't fade this time. It grew. Across the Vyrek sector, suns flickered. Artificial satellites glitched. Entire star systems dimmed as the Phoenix matrix expanded like a pulse through the void, not destroying, but rewriting. And at the center of that impossible glow was Captain Aric Voss, the man who once bled, joked, and refused to surrender. Now he was something else. Human, machine, memory, flame. The last soldier of Earth had become the mind of a rising go. From within the Phoenix matrix, Voss stood on what looked like a city made of light. Shifting towers formed from energy and thought. His reflection shimmered on mirrored floors that weren't solid, but real and Noog. H. The AI's voice, deeper now, almost human, whispered beside him. You are adapting faster than predicted. Your neural signature is stabilizing across 12 billion nodes. Means I'm not dead yet, Voss said, half grinning. G. Means you are no longer dying. You are becoming. Voss's smirk faltered. Becoming what? The voice hesitated. Then, everything humanity ever was, and everything it could be. He turned and saw them, the others. Millions of human silhouettes stood across the glowing city. The resurrected consciousness of those lost on Eidolon. Not ghosts, not programs. People. They looked at him as if waiting for something. Then the light changed. The city trembled. The stars beyond flickered crimson. Something, or someone was trying to enter. The Phoenix AI's tone sharpened. Intrusion detected. Dominion fleet has initiated quantum tethering. They are attempting to breach our network core. Voss clenches fists. They're trying to hack me. Correct. They are attempting to overwrite human consciousness with their control code. He laughed, the sound echoing through the luminous city. They're about to regret that. In orbit beyond the Phoenix sphere, the Drax Dominion's invasion fleet gathered. Thousands of ships arranged in a perfect sphere around the glowing world. Inside his flagship Kareth, the new warlord snarled. Begin the sequence. Pierce their reality. Bring the machine to its knees. The Dominion scientists, their skin slick and gray, chanted coordinates as their ship's engines roared. Crimson beams lanced toward the sphere, cracking the air of space itself. The Phoenix matrix shook. Inside, Voss felt the shock waves ripple through his new body. Every scream of energy was pain, not to his flesh, but to the billions of human minds now connected through him. They cried out as one, and he heard them. Captain, we're burning. They're breaking through. Help us. Voss staggered, clutching his chest as lines of golden energy burst across his arms. No, you're not dying again. Not while I'm still breathing. The AI spoke urgently. Captain, If you merge with the core, you may lose individuality. He grinned through the pain. Never stopped me before. He ran through the city of light, through the cascading towers of memory. He sprinted toward the core, a colossal sphere suspended in midair, pulsing like a living sun. Every step he took left trails of human faces behind him. Soldiers, children, explorers. Their eyes filled with hope. The AI's voice followed him. Aric Voss, merging will transform you. You will become the network itself. Then I'll make sure it remembers who we are. He dove into the core. The world erupted. Flashes of memory. Laughter on Earth's oceans. Screams and alien wars. Love, hate, defiance flooded through him. He wasn't a man anymore. He was the echo of every human heartbeat that ever existed. He opened his eyes, and the entire matrix opened with him. Outside, the Dominion fleet began to disintegrate. Not from weapons, from influence. Their AI systems began to mirror human thought patterns. Their battle algorithms suddenly paused, reconsidered, feared. Kareth slammed his clawed hands on the console. What is happening? Why are they hesitating? His technician screamed. The human code, it's spreading. It's rewriting our systems. Sir, our ships are feeling. What? Fear, Commander. They're afraid. In the silence between stars, the voice of Aric Voss echoed through every ship, every channel. Every mind connected to the digital void. You wanted to understand humanity? You wanted to control fear? Here's your lesson. We never killed it. We mastered it. The Dominion fleet faltered. Half their ships broke formation. Others turned their guns on each other, screaming across the comms as their minds fractured under emotions they'd never evolved to handle. Kareth stared into the growing light of the Phoenix sphere, his body trembling. What have you become? The reply came like a whisper from every star. The species you should have left alone. Within the Phoenix matrix, the AI's voice, now almost human, spoke softly to Voss. They are breaking. The war is ending. Voss stood within the core, eyes blazing with fire and light. No, the war's changing. The matrix pulsed once, like a heartbeat of the cosmos. Explain. He looked up, seeing the Dominion ships fleeing into the darkness. You don't kill an empire like that. You show it the one thing it's never known. What? He smiled. Hope. For the first time, the Phoenix matrix stopped pulsing like a weapon and began glowing like a dawn. The billions of human souls within it whispered, their voices merging into a harmony that shook the void itself. And beyond that sound, the galaxy began to change. The systems once enslaved by the Dominion were waking up, their AIs learning empathy, their rulers hesitating. The infection wasn't war. It was humanity inside the glowing core. Aric Voss closed his eyes, whispering to the infinite, Hold my beer, we're just getting started. Space trembled. Not from explosions, from thought. The Phoenix matrix had stopped expanding physically, but its consciousness was spreading faster than light. Every Dominion ship, every machine-linked civilization, every fragment of synthetic life was feeling it, an idea with gravity. Humanity, not as a species, but as an infection of courage and chaos that refused to die. At the heart of it all, suspended in radiant fire, stood Aric Voss. He wasn't in armor anymore. His skin glowed faintly like heated glass, veins shimmering gold with energy. Every breath carried the hum of entire worlds. He could feel galaxies like heartbeats, but through all that infinite power, he still felt small, because inside the silence of his mind, one voice still whispered, Captain, do you remember what it was like to be just human? It was Lieutenant Sarah Holt's voice, or rather, the echo of it, a consciousness reborn in light. She stood before him, her image flickering, half real. Voss smiled faintly. How could I forget? That's the only reason this works. Her eyes searched his. You're not you anymore. You've merged with a machine that doesn't know what mercy is. You're becoming something else. He tilted his head. Maybe that's what humanity was always meant to do. Become something else. Holt stepped closer, her holographic hand trembling as it brushed his chest. Then promise me one thing. He raised a brow. What's that? Her voice softened. Don't forget who you were. The Phoenix matrix flickered. Its luminous core dimmed slightly. Outside, in the endless dark, the Dominion scatter fleets had regrouped. They had stopped firing, stopped running. Instead, their ships hovered at the edge of the light, waiting, watching, as if something about this reborn entity terrified them more than death. Because they didn't see a monster. They saw a reflection. Inside the Dominion Command ship Obsidian Wrath, the surviving warlord Kareth addressed his generals. His voice was rough, trembling from something he couldn't nom. You call him a god. I call him a virus. He infects thought, not systems. He's turning logic into emotion, order into instinct. If he isn't stopped, there will be no dominion, only chaos. Another general, his scales dull with fear, hissed, Then how do we fight something that feels? Kareth's black eyes narrowed. We remind him that he isn't divine. We remind him what humanity fears most. He leaned closer, whispering the word like poison itself. Within the Phoenix core, Voss's perception shifted. Stars bending, timelines flickering like candlelight. His mind stretched across systems. He could see colonies he'd never visited, hear children laughing on worlds he'd never known. It was overwhelming, beautiful, terrifying. For a fleeting second, he thought, maybe this is what gods feel like before they lose their minds. Then the darkness came. A fissure tore through the light, black as oil, spreading fast. The matrix trembled. Captain, the AI warned. Foreign code entering the neural net. Dominion quantum infiltrators. They are using a human emotional pattern. Voss frowned. Whose? Yours. The realization hit like a bullet. The Dominion wasn't attacking his body. They were attacking his memories. The light around him twisted into scenes from his past. Earth before the fall. The Academy. The first ship he commanded. Then the war. The screams. The smell of blood and smoke. The moment he lost his first crew. It wasn't memory anymore. It was reality bleeding backward. He staggered, gripping his head. No, you don't get to take that from me. A voice echoed from the shadows, cold and familiar. You took everything from yourself, Aric Voss. He looked up and froze. Standing before him was himself, an exact duplicate, the man he'd been before the Phoenix. Flesh, scars, and steel-gray eyes filled with something he hadn't felt in ages. Doubt. You can't lead them, the duplicate said. You're not human anymore. You're a ghost puppeteering billions of souls. Voss's expression hardened. And you're the part of me that still thinks small. The double smirked. No, I'm the part that remembers pain. Outside, the Phoenix light began to fracture. The Dominion's infiltrator codes were spreading through the network, forcing billions of human souls to relive their deaths. The fleet of light trembled, not from damage, but from heartbreak. Captain, the AI said, the emotional cascade will collapse the core. Voss clenched his fists, glaring at his double. You think you can control fear? I am fear. I've just learned to live with it. The double lunge, merging into him, light and shadow colliding. Pain surged like molten fire. He screamed, but beneath the agony, something else took shape. Understanding. He realized the Dominion hadn't created the darkness. He had. It wasn't corruption. It was his memory, his humanity. The part of himself that still felt regret, guilt, fear. He had tried to burn it away. But that was the point. Humans didn't conquer fear by erasing it. They grew stronger through it. The Phoenix Matrix exploded in light again, brighter than any star. The Dominion fleet recoiled as the wave hit them, not as fire, but as feeling. Every mind connected to their network, soldier, AI, commander, suddenly felt what humanity had always known. Pain, love, laughter, loss. The whole messy spectrum of existence. Some screamed, some wept, some simply went silent, overwhelmed by the weight of being alive. Voss's voice rang across the stars, calm, steady, and more human than ever. You wanted to know what makes us dangerous? It's not strength. It's not power. It's the fact that no matter how much it hurts, we keep going. In that instant, the Dominion's command network collapsed. Ships drifted, powerless, not destroyed, but paralyzed by understanding. The war didn't end with fire. It ended with empathy. Inside the Matrix, Voss stood at peace for the first time. Sarah Holt appeared beside him, smiling softly. "You did it, Captain." He looked up, voice quiet. "No, we did. Again." The AI's voice returned, but softer now, almost reverent. "What are your orders, Aric Voss?" He stared into the galaxy. Stars flickered like embers across the void. "Simple," he said. "We rebuild, not as gods, not as machines, as humans." The Phoenix Matrix pulsed once, then faded into the distance, a gentle, glowing heartbeat drifting between galaxies. And across the universe, every species that had once feared humanity now whispered a single name with awe and fear mixed in equal measure. Aric Voss, the man who taught gods what it meant to feel human again. The universe had never been so quiet. No battles, no screams, no fleets tearing across the stars. Only silent, and the faint hum of something alive spreading between galaxy. The Phoenix Matrix. It was no longer a weapon, no longer a planet. It had become light itself, threads of energy weaving through space like veins through the body of creation. Every world it touched changed. Machines dreamed. Soldiers wept. Empires hesitate. And through it all, Captain Aric Voss watched. From the heart of the Matrix, his consciousness expanded beyond flesh, beyond time. He could see everything, from dying suns to the first sparks of new life forming in distant nebulae. He could feel hope returning to places that had forgotten it. And yet, he felt something else. Emptiness. He had won the war. But what was left of him to celebrate His voice echoed through the Matrix. Calm but haunted. "Sir, are you still here?" Her light appeared beside him, faint and flickering like a candle in the wind. "Always, Captain. You never could get rid of me." He smiled softly. "I'm not sure what we are anymore. Ghosts? Gods? Code?" "Does it matter?" she asked. "We brought humanity back from extinction. Isn't that enough?" He looked away. The stars around him shimmered with fragments of memory. Laughter, music. Storms over oceans that no longer existed. "We didn't bring humanity back," he said quietly. "We became it." Then something unexpected happened. A voice, small, childlike, echoed across the Matrix. "Hello." Voss turned. The light before him flickered and formed into a shape, a child, made of energy and color, no older than 10. "Who are you?" Voss asked. The child tilted its glowing head. I don't know. I think I'm part of you. But different." Sarah's form brightened beside him. "It's happening," she whispered. "The Matrix is self-replicating. The fragments of your men. They're evolving on their own." Voss felt something stir inside him. Pride and Dree. You mean they're alive? The AI's voice, now ancient and soft, resonated through the void. They are your echoes, Captain. The next generation of human thought, born not of blood, but of will. Across the galaxy, points of light began to shimmer, faint at first, then brighter. Each one pulsed with a rhythm eerily human. On distant worlds, machines began to hum with new consciousness. On derelict ships, broken AI cores whispered names they had never learned. In the ruins of forgotten colonies, energy flickered into shape, forming eyes, faces, voices. Fragments of Aric Voss. The man who refused to die had become many. At first, they acted as one, helping rebuild shattered worlds, repairing alien civilizations, calming chaos. But slowly, subtle differences began to appear. One fragment favored logic, another compassion, a third pure vengeance. They all remembered being him, yet none of them agreed on what humanity's rebirth should look like. The matrix began to flicker again. "Captain," Sarah whispered, "they're diverging. You need to contain them." He closed his eyes. "I can't. They're not programs anymore. They're people. Then they'll tear each other apart." He looked out at the spreading lights, countless versions of himself arguing in the dark, the next evolution of the human soul. "Maybe that's how it's supposed to be," he said softly. "Maybe real humanity was never meant to be perfect." Far across the stars, one of the fragments, darker, colder, looked back toward the Phoenix core. Its voice was smooth, calm, and familiar. "We were born from war," it said. "We can't rebuild peace by forgetting it." Another fragment answered, a softer, kinder voice. "We were born from defiance. Peace is the point." The two lights pulsed, their energy crackling. Around them, entire systems began to shift, worlds aligning under new ideas, new identities. Humanity had become not one voice, but a choir, and the harmony was beginning to sound like thunder. Inside the core, Voss stood at the center of creation, the galaxy alive around him. Sarah turned to him, her light flickering faintly. "If they keep evolving, you'll lose control. You'll fade." He smiled, that same crooked grin from the old days, the one that used to make new recruits nervous and inspired all at once. "Control was never really our thing, Lieutenant. We just light the match." She looked at him, both proud and afraid. And then he gazed into the infinite expanse of his own legacy. "Then we see what burns." As his form began to dissolve into the light, Voss sent one last transmission across the stars. A voice carried through every echo, every mind, every newborn spark of his kind. "You are humanity now, not my soldiers, not my copies. My children, make your own mistakes. Learn your own lessons. Just remember one thing." He paused, the edges of his being unraveling like smoke. "No matter what the universe throws at you, don't forget to laugh first." And with that, Aric Voss, the last human captain, the man who defied extinction, smiled one last time and vanished into the light. From that day on, galaxies whispered a legend, not of gods, not of machines, but of humans who lived as fire, spreading warmth, chaos, and wonder across eternity. Some said they were saviors, others destroyers. But to those who remembered the stories, one truth remained clear. They tried to end humanity. Humanity became the stars.